Really halfway through financial instruments. And the third part of financial instruments that I want to talk to you about revolves around financial assets. A financial instrument creates a financial asset in one entity and a liability or equity instrument in another. So we've been talking about liabilities and equity. So we've been talking about raising finance, borrowing money, issuing shares, and the money we receive, debiting cash, and is it equity, is it debt, how do we account for it? That's what we've been talking about for the last for the day. I now need to switch and become an investor, become a lender, because somebody who has assets, become a banker, somebody who lends money to people, somebody who invests. So we're talking here about financial assets. By the way, these standards don't cover subs, don't cover associates, don't cover joint ventures. Because accounting for an investment, and accounting for a sub, accounting for an associate, accounting for a joint venture, that's dealt with elsewhere. Yeah? So I don't know whether I need to make a big fuss about that. Yeah? Subs, associates, joint ventures, they have other standards that deal with their accounting. So when I talk about financial assets, I'm basically talking about two types of things. One is a right to receive money. A right to receive, a debtor, a receivable, yeah, a bond, a loan, a right to receive cash, or secondly, an investment in equity shares, equity instruments of another entity. So financial assets, for example, you've got a contractual right to receive cash. You've got a contractual right to receive cash. And equity instruments of another entity. Equity instruments of another entity. Following is going to get a bit complicated, so let me try and give you the big picture before we dive in. I need to talk to you about the classification of financial assets. I need to talk to you about the classification of financial assets. Now, when I talked to you about the classification of financial liabilities, I said there were two. Amortized cost and fair value through P&L. Now that I'm talking to you about the classification of financial assets, there are three. Now I don't like that, but there are three. It's better because once upon a time there used to be four. So the fact there are only three is progress. I mean, life would be a lot easier if all financial assets were dealt with in the same way. But we do have a mixed measurement system. Does anybody know the names of these three types of financial assets? Amortized cost, fair value through P&L, and fair value through OCI. So there are three categories of financial assets. Yeah? There's still an investment in shares or investment in bonds, but the three classifications. Now the classifications immediately give away their accounting treatment. Because if it's amortized cost, you're not revaluing it, and you're recognising income at the effective rate. If it's fair value through P&L, then on the balance sheet it must be a fair value and the gain or loss goes to P&L. And if it's fair value through OCI, it's on the balance sheet at fair value and the gain or loss goes to OCI. I mean, what more can I say? So there are three categories of financial asset. Amortised cost, fair value through P&L, and fair value through OCI. And each of those has a slightly different recognition. So let me see if I can be neat. So there are three categorizations. The first categorization is amortized cost, and that would be initially recognized at the fair value plus the transaction cost. The fair value through profit and loss is at fair value, and the fair value through OCI is at fair value plus so what you've got there is your classification process. So you've got your classification results. Amortized cost, fair value through P&L, and fair value for OCI. And your initial measurement, your initial recognition, will be at fair value if it's fair value through P&L. Right. Big picture. Big picture. First thing I'm going to have to do, if I have a financial asset, is to do something known as the cash flow test. I'm going to have to look at the asset and I'm going to have to see whether it contains contractual payments on specified dates of cash which represent the repayment of interest and capital. If I have lent somebody money, there will be a contract which specifies when and how much they're going to pay me back. And what they pay me back is paying me back interest and capital. So if the cash flow test is met, then quite probably it's amortized cost. Because if the cash flow test is met and I never ever want to sell the asset, then I will just simply passively collect the money and it will be amortized cost. If the cash flow test is not met, then it's equity. And if it's equity, it must be either a fair value, it must be at fair value, either fair value through P&L or OCI. I don't think there's an easy way around this. I think I'm just going to have to beat you over the head, for the next 10 minutes or so, and then we can kind of look up again and see if we can apply it in a particular context. But there's a certain amount of knowledge here that we need to have. So the classification process starts with the cash flow test.